All right, hello everybody. We are lucky enough to have Maddy here from Smith AI. They're an awesome chat company that works, from what I understand, mostly with lawyers. If you want to get a hold of Smith AI, not .ai, I just got corrected on it. There's going to be some info in the comments on it. You can email in, call them, or visit the website, smith.ai. So Maddy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And by the way, it's chat, calls, text, Facebook messages, you name it.
Yeah, I know. And that's one thing I think is really cool about your platform is I don't want to call it pay per performance, but you're not just paying for people to message the bot. People have to actually interact with you and everything, which is one thing I really liked about it when I first got exposed to it.
Well, and it's live staff and AI. So you can choose to have the live staff, North American-based agents, or you can have just the AI chatbot, and it covers really the core channels where you're marketing and reaching new leads.
Yeah, no, and that's so important. We've had other chat people on our channel, like talking about Messenger and everything. And I think it's just the amount of leads you get and the less stress you have just makes it so much more worth it. But how did you get into this industry, and what do you enjoy most about helping people that use these tools?
Well, I think that there's like core services that every individual in business needs. And I started out working for startups for Food 52, which is a recipe site. We were helping home cooks cook better food and share their favorite recipes. And then I was at Your Mechanic, where I helped people get car repair at their home or office for like 30% to 50% less cost. And then now working for this receptionist service, we're combining a lot of the technological aspects that make a startup grow so fast and be so helpful compared to the rest of the industry. But what's really exciting is that we have also these incredible humans who are answering calls and chats and texts from all of the potential clients for the firms we serve. And to me, that's so core to the vital services that businesses need, because they have to do the work that they are expert in doing and not get bogged down with time spent on tasks that can be delegated. So what I get really passionate about is freeing up time for busy business owners who need to make strategic decisions. They need to make networking impacts. They need to build their brand and grow and manage their team, especially lawyers who have a professional conduct aspect where ethically they have to monitor what's going on in their firm, but they don't have to have everything on their shoulders. And especially when you grow to 1 million, 2 million, that size of revenue, you really need to dial in and watch every dollar. And one of the biggest cost centers is misutilizing your time or your team's time, spending that on answering calls or getting bogged down by spammers, when you really need to practice law, have your paralegals focused, have your intake team focused, and let the front line be delegated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spend a lot of time kind of slapping the lawyers around, telling them what to not do and what to do in the company.
We don't quite use that language,
yeah,
but
well,
it's sort of like a shame on you. How dare you spend this money, that your hard-earned money, on marketing if you're not going to answer the leads? I mean, we know from the Clio Legal Trends report that 2 out of 3 potential clients base their decision to hire on a firm's initial responsiveness to their first call or email or touch point. So if you are not responding immediately to that first ring, then you're basically telling them, go get in touch with the other referral, go look back at Google and see your other search result, go back to that search result page and pick the next in the listing, because we're not actually going to be that prompt. And what does that indicate? When you work with us, we're also not going to be that responsive. And it's sort of like a quality signal that you miss immediately if you don't pick up.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love the fact you're getting in on that. And one thing I've noticed too is so many people go to Google and just punch their info into 10, 15 different sites. And having a nice bot, the nice page, the nice everything just really makes you memorable. So when you call them, they actually remember who you are, which not always something gets talked about a lot, but it is an issue.
Yes, and not only that, but actually you can deliver an amazing experience and get a great review, even if you're filtering leads and they're not a good fit. Like, I'm sure people who are running immigration firms are the same as any other practice area where, when we know this, where people contact you and the practice area doesn't match what you actually do. They just search for lawyer San Jose, lawyer St. Louis, lawyer Buffalo, right? And what ends up happening is that they get in touch with firms for no fault of their own. They're just uneducated in terms of what lawyers can do in specialties. So giving a referral actually in the screening process, which we do before booking an appointment, so we don't waste your time when we're scheduling those consults, can actually even lead to a positive review on Google, which further improves your brand recognition and the quality of your reputation online, and over time hones down the leads that you're going to get who are more, generic, if your reviews speak to, your immigration services, for example.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing we focused a lot on, getting reviews. I mean, one of my friends, Sam Malai, has 1,500 Google reviews. So it's
I know Sam. He
oh, do
is a
you?
marketing master.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's really good. Yeah, and I think it's awesome that like all these tools are here, because it's never been easier to like run or start or own a business. I think your service, you pay a few dollars per chat, people can come in, see your site and everything, and you're completely hands off. I mean, ideally, like what we tell a lot of people is like, we want to get your firm to the point where you're only really focusing on revenue generating activities and client
Right.
fulfillment. And realistically, you can outsource the revenue generating activities. If you're an attorney, you're usually going to be doing like some of the client fulfillment or all of it. So
Right. Yeah, I think that, one of the hardest things is that, and we work with businesses of all shapes and sizes, right? But we do have the majority who are law firms. And I think that that positions us really well for a number of reasons. It's important to have a prompt response, and to have a reasonable cost of service for these responses. But it's also important to pay enough so that you're not doing this super cheapo service where someone is just like paid to generate that appointment on your calendar. They're not paid to be like thoughtful. They're not trained or coming with an origin, a career history of customer service and hospitality and office management, and even a legal background where they've been a paralegal or office manager for a law firm. And they know that, especially with, immigration and any family issues and anything stressful where you're getting in touch with a law firm for a legal matter, it is not okay to just jump into, when are you available to talk, or we charge $100 for a consultation. You want to say like, oh, I'm so sorry you're experiencing that, or yes, we can help with this type of visa issue, and be able to get on the same page and to speak the language that they need you to speak to bring comfort to the process that's very uneasy. And I think the other thing that we see with lawyers in particular, where chat and receptionist services are particularly meaningful, is that there needs to be sort of a sense that you are screening properly, and that you are informing upfront about setting expectations so that there can be a really good consultation. Like, you want to be able to capture the relevant information and be able to say, no, we don't do these form fills only. We do more comprehensive holistic services. We're just not going to fill out this, visa application, or whatever the case may be. Whatever you do or don't, it's important to communicate that to your receptionist service so they can be effective in communicating on your behalf on those front lines. What we don't want to do is say, oh, you're only going to pay for every lead, or you pay per minute and then we're going to run out the phone time. When we pay per call or per chat, which is, starting at $5 or $7, it's easy to identify, well, I paid this much on the marketing end. I paid this much to capture and have that first conversation, which is where Smith AI comes in. And then I'm able to convert, let's say, at 50, 60, 70% off of my consults, hopefully that number going up as you have more qualified consults. Then you can start to see how much it costs you to acquire a client, which should be significantly less than, the cost that you're generating from revenue from that client.
yeah, exactly. But so I think if you're paying for Google ads or buying leads from any of these lead sources, I mean, that's such a nominal price. I love when people have real chatbots on their website that are built and look nice and like collect all the data. And I think you're right.
Yes.
It does build it makes them excited to talk to you. They're like, wow, this is what they do. Like, this is step 1. What's step 7 and 8 going to look like?
Yes, exactly. It's proactive and friendly from the outset. And what's interesting, like, even those of us who are not super huge fans of chat bots, like in our own consumer lives, it's nice to have the instantaneous response, because we know that 82% of consumers expect an instant response from a business for a new inquiry. And then also to just give that little signal when you're on a website and chat pops up automatically, it's fine for that user to hide it, right? But it still stays in the little corner so that you can call on it when you need it, because most sites don't have really fantastic search functions and haven't fully baked out their FAQ as much as they could. What does chat do? It solves two problems. One, it immediately allows you to, sort of call on an assistant, and it requires, for Smith AI's chat, your name, email, and optionally your phone number before you can ever engage. So if you feel the sort of impetus to ask chat a question, we're already capturing at least that contact information so that you can get back in touch with. Not every chat does, so that's very important. The second thing is that you can use those full chat transcripts, which by the way can be English or Spanish, totally real-time translation, even with the live agents. You can use all of that content to further build out your website, because we know that all of those keywords that the users are searching into Google, which we don't have visibility into, you now have visibility into with the chat, because they're going to type in the same questions that they were typing into Google that they came to your site to find answers for, may not immediately find that answer, and they type that same question into the chatbot and they explain why they're here and what they need. Take that information, look hard at the questions and the language that they're using, and match it to your website so that you can be more discoverable on Google, and that further elevates your brand.
Oh, that's a really good idea. I never actually thought of that. Using a chatbot to help your SEO.
It's such an SEO hack, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like I really like these. I'm a big fan of them. I mean, obviously, I'm in digital marketing, but I think when a lot of people first hear, oh, chatbot, all this stuff, they immediately just think I have to do more work. And
Oh, right. It's such a sort of hidden, behind the curtain sort of Wizard of Oz industry right now. And it's really not that way at all. Like, first of all, with Smith AI, we're going to do all the work for you. We will do the setup for your chatbot on any website that you have. We also, for free, not for an extra cost, can add channels for SMS, for Facebook, and we can respond on those channels. So if you're doing digital marketing, I'm sure you have a Facebook page. I'm sure that you have a phone number that includes texting for your business phone number. We need to be able to respond there. So if you have us set up on your website, just simply tell our team that you also want us to answer text and Facebook messages, and we can do that through the same channel with unified answers. And that's really where it starts getting important, between text and call. 24/7, we're using the same set of answers and the same directions for scheduling, pre-qualifying, and scheduling, or even taking payment for that consultation. Now, what's important is that someone who texts you or who goes on Facebook should get the same response that you or your team would give, that we would give on any channel. And what it means is that you have a really scalable team who's not one assistant who's offshore through Upwork or something, who's sort of like, oh, this is my backup plan. We've got 100+ receptionists, right? So you're not going to have the problem where someone takes a sick day. So my recommendation is, you allow, if you already have people who are handling the phones, have us at least be backup, because you never want to miss a lead, especially when you're paying for those leads to be generated. And on chat, on text, on Facebook, where there isn't as much bandwidth and people are not checking or hearing a phone ring, right, to have that trigger point to answer right away, put us on there first. And then you can see the new leads. We alert you by text, by email, even a Slack if you're using that chat app, so that you're fully in the loop, because we don't want you to feel like you've handed something off and you don't have visibility into the conversations.
Yeah, and it's good you mentioned that, because I think that's something a lot of people are afraid of, is like, oh, what if they just do something I don't know about? And that's really an issue we've never really actually faced, even though it comes up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that being a lawyer comes with a lot of restrictions, and we know there are marketing and advertising constraints. I think there is a ton of burden for lead acquisition and client acquisition when it comes to law firms specifically as a business type. And one of the things that we want to do is make it easier for you to be in touch with more qualified new clients, so that you can focus on the work that you love to do, and maybe even work less, because you don't feel like you have to have your cell phone by your bed and redirecting your phones to your cell phone after hours, because you're not going to burden your team who works for you. You're that boss who says, let me take this extra overflow work on myself, or let me have a, call ring tree where everyone is tried for a few rings. Well, by the time they get to someone who answers, that person's probably fed up or they've hung up. So what we want to do is have a really prompt response so that they are still feeling excited to contact your firm, and allow you to capture that referral or lead from a, paid search or organic search that came and is looking for immediate help. Because one of the other things that we saw from the Clio Legal Trends report is that I think 39% of potential clients feel a sense of urgency when contacting a law firm, and only 17% of lawyers acknowledge that sense of urgency. And what that says to me is that, the legal industry as a whole is not taking it as seriously as the consumer does, that just being in touch with a law firm is enough to put you at ease and enough to give you peace of mind. They generally are saying, I just want to be in touch with a law firm. I don't even need to have vetted them to feel like I've got a guy, I've got a gal, my matter is going to be handled by a professional. There is sort of the feeling, as there is with a dentist or doctor, that as long as the reviews are not very negative, the first response is going to indicate who they go with. Right? It's not like home buying where you really hem and haw and you weigh all the differences. As long as the lawyer is a good fit for you, the first one who gets in touch gets the business. So you and what amazing work you do will come after that first conversation. And you can, if they don't convert immediately, then you go into all the testimonials and the expertise and that nurturing of converting that lead. But if you don't answer, you never get the opportunity to even convert right on that first call or chat or do that nurturing, because they don't give you the information, because you didn't capture it, because you didn't answer.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, because I remember I used to do real estate leads, and like these stats that float around is when you call somebody within 5 minutes, you're 21 times more likely to turn them into a client than if you call them in 30 minutes. And I think, I know chat and calling are a little bit different. You offer both, obviously, but it's like just those stats are amazing. That like, wow, that's like when people feel like you care, it's just like they're so much more likely to to buy from you, and it's kind of a
Amazing the
win-win.
short window that we have, right? I mean, I think that now more than ever, it's not only the short window, it's also the tolerance for, I'm not going to try you on every channel. Like the first channel that I try you on, I expect you to respond. If I try you even on Facebook, you're lucky if I try to call you if you don't respond to the message, because I see on Facebook, like, you have Messenger enabled. If you have it enabled, I expect to be able to talk to you. If you have a phone number, I expect to be able to text you. Why? Because a huge company like CVS is allowing me to text with my next prescription or whatever. So if that big company can do that, my expectation is that my small local companies are also able to do that. And the problem that we find here with the gap in the market and the wherewithal and the data that we're seeing and the consumer demand is that, and this comes from the Clio Legal Trends report as well, year after year, not just last year's report. And if you haven't read it, I really encourage that you do. We know that there is a huge lack in business acumen. 93% of attorneys say that law school didn't prepare them for running a business, that 76% are overworked, 86% want to grow their firm in the next 3 years, but the vast majority report feeling a low confidence in their business skills, a lack of business acumen, and that often leads to inaction. So my greatest encouragement is to use these services like ours, like Calendly, which is free, and other tools that are available for scheduling and facilitating these communications ongoing with leads, is use a free trial, use the sort of freemium version or free version, and just experiment and track the leads who come in and see the difference that it makes. Because I think that there is an immediate cost, yes, but there is also an opportunity cost. And when you free up the hour that you have, which is worth $250 or $300 or $350 an hour, whatever the case may be, even your paralegal costs a lot more money, right? You're going to find that you get so much more done in less time, your staff retention and your work happiness is increased, and your business runs better. And it doesn't actually take having any business school skills. It just takes tapping into the services that are affordable and available to you with no upfront cost, just wanting to display to you, look at what you could be doing. Isn't it worth $5 or $7 a call to have this immediate capture point, and to know that the running of the business, the onus of that is not fully on your shoulders? Because if you're looking at $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, look at those business owners. How much are they doing nitty gritty day to day, and how much are they relying on systems? It's those systems that build a business. And if you haven't documented, your lead screening questions and your intake process, do that, because that's the first step in delegating it. And that will unlock what you see with all of your peers who you aspire to their growth. What they've done is they've figured out delegation, and that is actually the secret here. And that is what we're trying to facilitate.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think that whole mindset of like, well, is anyone else going to be able to do it like I do? And the answer is no, but it doesn't mean they can't do a good job. It's
if you miss 80 leads out of 100 and you win 20 because you win the 20 out of 21, right? But instead you're missing 80 leads. Sure, your conversion rate is very, very high for those 2021, but your conversion rate is terrible for the 80 leads you never get in touch with, who you can't call because you just don't have the bandwidth. So consider the fact that if you have slightly lower conversion rate because you can't be inside of your brain, and you do probably have that secret sauce that converts a few more leads, the most important thing is that 2 out of 3 potential clients base their decision to hire on your initial responsiveness. So your pool goes from 20, who you can actually get back to and have a conversation with, to close to 100 that you have the first conversation with if you're answering every time. You screen out the ones who you don't want to win, and then those people are put in touch with you, which now we're looking at like 50, 60 for you to have a conversation with, and you start thinking, I better hire an intake coordinator because I have more business than I know what to do with. That's the sort of problem that we want to create. We don't want to create the problem where you're paying for leads, you're not getting the phone answered, and then you're kicking them right back to their competitors. Or often even the problem is not that your competitors get the leads, but that if you have an advertising strategy where you're paying for multiple sort of search results, then you're paying twice for that lead, because they pay for your first result, and then you pay for them to find you in the second result, and then now you've double dipped and your cost is 2x. So that's something that we hear from very savvy strategic marketers. They are advertising their firm, and they're hitting Google up in multiple ways, trying to get around different search results and show up twice. If you don't respond, it's not like you're going to just go to that next listing and it's for free. Google knows to charge you twice. So either way, you have to pick up the first time to prevent them from going back to search results. And even if they're not a good fit and you make that referral, we find that they will write a positive review, and that can be an experience that leads to oh, so-and-so, my friend, needs an attorney. I actually talked to someone, let me put you in touch with this person, instead of, oh, just search online, I don't know, an immigration attorney.
And that's totally true. I mean, just be nice to everybody. Like, I was actually going to get a visa and move to Panama. And the guy I was going to open the business with, he was the one that had more of the money.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like 6, 7x the investment I had. So the amount I had was, very small in the firm size at the time. This is about 5 years ago. We were going to open a dive shop. And then they totally blew me off, like weren't nice to me. I was like in Panama City, like a few miles away from their firm. And I was like, hey, you mind if I just go stop by? 'Cause I was concerned it was a scam, in full transparency.
Right.
I wasn't, mad at them for that. I understand it's like an issue in their industry. But, they totally blew me off. Didn't want me to come by. Just more or less told me, hey, like, it's fine. Don't call back. Like, just come back with the money and you're good. 3 months goes by, and then, they find out that we know each other. Like, the guy that had, like $80,000 and, the guy that had like 10, it turns out they were buddies and they were opening a shop together. Once they found out, they kept hitting me up for like months. But it was really interesting. That whole experience kind of taught me a lot about, like, I think it's just a legal mindset or something. I mean, recently I went to the lawyer to register a trademark, and not one of them have called me back. Like, I would literally pay the first one who calls me.
Oh, I have a lawyer for you if you need one. Her name is Sonia Lacani. She's amazing. Lacani Law. So I don't have to, tell her that I sent you because we have a video here. But
All
she's
right, perfect.
fantastic. And the amazing thing is that, trademark law is really interesting because it can, the lawyers can operate from anywhere, as she does. I know her well. And, that's a great example of what is your experience to drive by. If we think about your reputation and reviews, we think about that golden rule of treating people well, of spending the extra moment on the phone to make that referral. We then think also about the value of Smith AI charging per call and not per minute, because you do say, yes, please make that referral. Yes, please tell them a little bit about our firm, so the next time they're overhearing someone in their community, a friend or family or peer, they are recommending your firm because you took the 30 seconds to say, actually, we're not a family law firm, or we're not criminal defense, we're not personal injury, we focus on immigration, and here are the matters that we work on. Oh, thank you, I got it. We're taking new clients, so if anyone needs help, just put them in touch with us. We'd be happy to have you send them our way. Great. Imagine what that does, that invite does, to build your brand in the community. You gave a really nice sort of introduction to your firm, and over time that also refines the leads that are generating to you. The more referrals, why do attorneys love referrals? Because they've been pre-screened, they've been pre-vetted. That friend or family member knows more than the average bear about what your firm does. And it's not someone so much searching through Google, and you can reduce your ad spend, or you can more focus your ad spend, and you have a foundation of great referrals that come to you, and people know what your firm does, and that really reduces noise. And the added benefit is that it reduces noise for services like Smith AI. So when you pay for those conversations, more of them are meaningful, more of them convert, and you can look at your marketing mix as something that is getting dialed in over time, where you really know when you spend money that you make money on the back end with new clients who convert.
And that's really the goal. Everybody wants to make more money. And you mentioned a few minutes ago that a lot of these lawyers don't have the business sense, and it's not that they don't want to. Just you're right, they
Right.
weren't prepared. But we actually did a few surveys and ranked common responses, and we realized that like the amount of what lawyers wanted more often is, we were thinking, oh yeah, they want more cases, they want more this, and really like there were 20% more responses for wanting more time.
Mm,
As far as it went, I was like, hey, I want more time. I want to be less burned out. I do too many admin tasks, which is kind of related to the, that's a time
totally.
related thing. And it was really interesting. So it was like, and we kind of changed our shift, and then people started to open up a bit more on the calls that we had and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really cool that we realized how to help people more. And I think it's awesome you have services like yours that can bridge that gap for
I'm going
people.
to send you the link to our Clio Legal Trends report, because I think it's really interesting to see our infographic that we took from the data and sort of honed it down into just the communication issues and the areas of impact that we can have that are most important for law firms to consider right now, and also really easy to fix. Like, these are things, Ian, that like you can fix immediately this week. We can get you started within 1 to 2 days. What's that going to do for your quarter, for your calendar year, for your staff retention, people who are bogged down, for you who gets interrupted during dinner for a new call, and you always try and pick it up because Maddy said the first response matters. Well, shoot, now I have to pick it up even more often, and my family is going to take the burden and the hit. That's not the answer. The answer is that you have to be responsive, but we know you can't possibly do that by yourself. So how do you do it without burdening your team? Well, you do it by delegating it. And guess what? Once you do, you can actually turn up every funnel that you have, because what's actually been preventing your growth is not maybe your ability to add more cases or even to spend money. But when you spend the money, it's the problem that you don't necessarily see the result. So why would you pour more money on something that's not converting into results? The only way is to have a system and a process, and you have to know systematically, if I add more leads to the top of the funnel, do I get more clients at the end of it? And predictably, if you respond to them, then you can say yes. If you don't respond to them, you're not going to see an added benefit, and you may feel like, I haven't found the marketing mix that works, I haven't found the advertising that works. Well, no, it may work, but you haven't fully tested your system. It's not oiled up, it's not firing. You need that spark plug, and it's important that you put the tools in place who are specialists who are not going to be choosing to sort of neglect productivity on one side of it in order to achieve another task, right? Like a paralegal, for example, who's repurposed as a receptionist, which we see very often, or the firm owner themselves. You're taking time away from really valuable work if you are answering these calls, if you're learning how to set up a chatbot. I mean, that's not going to be the optimal solution. You have to use a specialist the same way that you would use a specialist for a bookkeeper or for accounting or for anything else that you know specialists are good at. This is the same exact way. You're not going to learn, all the ins and outs of Google AdWords. You're not going to learn how to code your own website for the vast majority of people, firm owners. It's the same exact thing here. There are specialists for a reason.
Oh yeah, no, it's I love the fact you specialize in this. Well, it's been a great half hour with you, Maddy. If anyone does want to get a hold of Smith.ai, we'll put the details in the description. That's the phone number if you want to email in, and then just go visit the website, Smith.ai. That's the best way to get in touch. They have an awesome chatbot on their site if you want to message in or email in, whatever you want to do. So thanks so much for joining us, Maddy. Really appreciated your insight. Love the fact that you make decisions based on data, because that's something
the
I
only
really
way to be.
Yeah, it really is. And it's really easy to get carried away in what you think too. I mean, we had a firm we work with, for example, they were paying for leads for a year and a half from a lead source, common one, and then it was $1,000 a month. Hadn't closed a case in that long, and in 18 months they hadn't closed a single case or took one person, and they wouldn't have. All they had to do was take a 3-minute look at their books, and then would have saved them about 20 grand and cost. So it really is pretty crazy, like what monitoring data can do for your business.
It's really impactful. And if you're not already quarterly doing that data work and also checking your systems, like calling your phone line and making sure that, you hear the same number of rings on one side as you hear on your phone, and that your systems are set up properly. If you have a VoIP phone, that there is texting enabled to it, that your website loads quickly, that all of these sort of basic fundamentals, those have to be in place. And you do need to QA, and you do need to look at the data. And it's important to be a present and active business owner, working with the right agencies and tools who can help you be successful so that you can focus your time on what you like to do most. And whether that's having more life in the work-life balance, or spending more time making it rain and building your business and your network, or just doing casework, right? We just don't want to have you bogged down by all those admin tasks, because to leave you with the last piece of data, it's about 3 hours a day that Clio reports, and we know that that's equivalent to the billable hours. So if you need more time, you want more room to breathe and decisions and control over your day instead of being just carried away by your to-do list, this is really a great solution for you to have sustainable growth.
Absolutely, guys. And if you want to look up Smith.ai, please visit any of the information in the description. If you want to learn a bit more about growing your immigration firm, feel free to visit us at immigrationfinder.com. We'd love to chat with you. You can book a call from there. Then you can also get a hold of Maddy and the rest of the team at Smith.ai. So thanks so much for for joining us, Maddy. It was great having you on here, and yeah, I really learned a lot from this call. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ann.